everyone, so we're at chapter 42 of Children of Blood and Bone. We're back in Amari's perspective. The stabbing ache comes first, pulsing through my head with an intensity that stirs me awake. The burns follow soon after, stinging from the endless cuts and scratches peppering my skin. I blink my eyes open, but the darkness remains. They've tied a tweed bag over my face. The rough fabric sticks to my nose as I breathe in too deeply, a futile attempt to keep myself from hyperventilating. What is the meaning of this? I pull forward, but my arms hold me back. Wrists bound against a column. Wait, not a column. I shift to explore the rough surface. A tree. That means we're still in the forest. Tzane! I try to call out, but my mouth is gagged. The fried pork rinds from dinner churn in my stomach. Whoever these people are, they've taken every precaution to protect themselves. I strain to hear another clue. Running water, the shift of other captives, but no other sound comes forth. I'm forced to mine my memories for more. Though I can't see, I close my eyes, reliving the surprise attack. Tzane and Nayla disappearing in woven nets, the acidic stench that turned everything black, so many masked figures, quick and silent, blending with the shadows. These strange fighters are the culprits. They took all of us down. But why? What is it these people want? If their aim was to rob us, they've already succeeded. If they desired our deaths, I wouldn't be breathing now. This has to be something different. An attack shrouded in a greater aim. With enough time I can decipher it, plot a way to escape. She's awake. I tense, keeping still as a female voice speaks. Something rustles as footsteps near. The faint smell of sage hits me when she gets closer. Should we get Zoo? This time I catch a drawl in her speech, an accent I've only heard from the nobles hailing from the east. I picture Father's map of Orisha in my mind. Besides Aloran, the only eastern village large enough to garner nobles in the palace is Wari. Zoo can wait. A male voice answers her, his speech carrying the same eastern lilt. The heat rising off his body hits me in a wave when he nears. Kwame, don't. The bag is ripped off my head so hard my neck jerks forward. The pounding in my head surges with the flood of lantern light. My vision blurs as I fight against the pain to take everything in. A diviner's face fills my gaze, dark brown eyes narrowed in suspicion. A thick beard highlights his defined jaw. As he gets closer, I catch a small silver ring pierced through his right ear. Despite his menacing expression, the boy can't be much older than Tzane. Behind him, another diviner stands, beautiful with her dark skin and cat-like eyes. Long white locks travel down her back, tangling over her arms when she crosses them. A large canvas tent surrounds us, built around the trunks of 2 mammoth trees. Kwame, our masks. We don't need them, he replies, breath warm against my face. For once, she's the one in danger, not us. Another body sits behind him, bound to a large tree root, head hidden behind a tweed bag. Tzane. I exhale as I recognize his shape, but the relief doesn't last. A stain bleeds through the top of Tzane's bag, thick and dark. Cuts and bruises mar his skin. Transporting him here must have been rough. You want to speak to him? Kwame asks. Tell me where you got this scroll. The blood freezes in my veins when he waves the parchment in front of my face. Skies, what else did he take? Itching for your blade. Kwame seems to read my mind, pulling the bone dagger from his waist. Couldn't leave your boyfriend with a weapon like this. Kwame cuts the gag binding my mouth, unflinching even when he nicks my cheek in the process. You have one chance, he says through gritted teeth. Don't bother lying. I took it from the royal palace. I rush out. We're on a mission to bring magic back. I've been tasked by the gods. I'm going to get Zoo. The girl behind him starts. Falake, wait. Kwame's tone is sharp. Without Jalen, we need to get her with answers. He turns back to me, narrowing his eyes once more. A Poseidon and a noble are on a mission to bring magic back, yet not one magi is with you. We have a... I stop myself, sifting through all the information he revealed with his simple question. It brings me back to the luncheons in the palace. Times when I had to search for the truth behind all the smiles and lies. He thinks we're alone. That means Zelly and Enon must have gotten away, or they were never taken. It's quite possible they're still safe. I can't decide whether this should give me hope. Together, Zelly and Enon could find us, but at the rate they were fighting, one of them might already be dead. Run out of lies? Kwame asks. Good. Tell the truth. How did you find us? How many of you are there? What's a noble like you doing with a scroll like this? A scroll like this? I dig my nails in the dirt. Of course. Why didn't I notice right away? Kwame didn't bat an eye when I said I wanted the scroll to bring magic back, and though he's a diviner, touching it for the first time doesn't make his magic react. Because this isn't the first time he's held it. In fact, it might just be the thing he and his fellow masked vigilantes are after. Listen. No. Kwame cuts me off and moves to Zane, ripping the bag from his head. Zane is barely conscious, his head lolling to the side. Anxiety grips my chest as Kwame holds the bone dagger to Zane's neck. Tell the truth. I am! I shriek, pulling against my bonds. We need to get Zoo. Falake backs up to the entrance of the tent, as if distance absolves her of this horror. We need the truth, Kwame yells back. She's lying, I know you see it too. Don't hurt him, I beg. I gave you a chance. Kwame tightens his lips. This is on you. I won't lose my family again. What's going on? My eyes snap to the tent's entrance as a young girl enters. Her fists clenched, her green dashiki sits bright against her coconut-brown complexion. Her white hair settles around her head, big and fluffy like a cloud. She can't be more than 13, but Kwame and Falake stand to attention in her presence. Zoo, I wanted to get you. Falake speaks quickly. I wanted answers first. Kwame finishes. My scouts saw them by the river. They had the scroll. Zoo's dark brown eyes widen as she grabs the parchment from Kwame and scans its weathered ink. The way she runs her thumb over the symbols gives me all the confirmation I need. You've seen this scroll before. The girl looks at me, taking in the cuts on my skin, the shallow gash onto Zane's forehead. She fights to keep her face blank, but the corners of her lips turn into a frown. You should have woken me. There wasn't time, Kwame says. They started moving. We had to act or they'd be out of our range. They? Zoo asks. There were more of them? 2 others, Falake answers. They got away and Jalen... What about him? Falake exchanges a guilty look with Kwame. He still hasn't returned. There's a chance he's been taken. Zoo's face falls. The scroll wrinkles in her grasp. You didn't go after him? There wasn't time. You don't get to make that call, Zoo rasps. We don't leave anybody behind. It's our job to keep everyone safe. Kwame's chin drops to his chest. He shifts and crosses his arms. The scroll was in play, Zoo. If more guards are coming, we need it. It weighed the risks. We're not guards, I cut in. We're not part of the army. Zoo glances at me before walking up to Kwame. You've put us all in danger. I hope it was fun playing king. Though her words are harsh, each is filled with sadness. With her thin brows pinched, she looks even younger than she really is. Gather the others in my tent, she instructs Kwame before pointing to Zane. Folly, clean and bandage his wound. The last thing I need is him getting an infection. What about her? Falake nods in my direction. What do you want us to do? Nothing. Zoo turns her gaze on me. Unreadable once more. She's not going anywhere. Okay, so we just finished chapter 42. So pause the video here. Write your summary of the chapters. What's those main ideas? What have we discovered about the people that have kidnapped Amari and Zane here? What do we think is happening now with Enon and Zelly as they've captured who we now know is Jalen, to extract information from them? So take your moment to do your notes and then unpause and continue with chapter 43 in Enon's perspective. Silence surrounds us, thick and heavy hanging in the air. The only sounds between Zelly and me are our footsteps as we trudge up the tallest hill in the forest. It amazes me, with the soft soil and weighted nets, the masked figures didn't leave more tracks. Whenever I stumble on a path, it seems to disappear. This way. Zelly takes the lead, scouting the trees. Following the advice of the masked boy we interrogated, I search the trunks for the painted symbol of his people, an X with two divergent crescents. According to him, following the discrete symbols is the only way to discover their camp. There's another one. Zelly points to the left, changing the direction of our paths. She climbs with an unyielding resolve, but I struggle to keep up. Slung over my shoulder, the unconscious fighter weighs down my frame, making each inhale a battle. I almost forgot how much it hurts to breathe when I have to push my magic down. Fighting Zelly, I was forced to let go. I needed my full strength to gain control. Now it takes everything in me to block my magic again. No matter how hard I fight, the risk of feeling Zelly's pain lingers, a constant and growing threat. My feet slip on the soil. I grunt, digging my heel into the dirt to keep from sliding down the hill. The slip is all my curse needs. Like a leponnaire escaping its cage, the magic breaks free. I close my eyes as Zelly's essence rushes in like a crashing tidal wave. First cold and sharp, then soft and warm. The smell of the sea surrounds me. The clear night sky mirrored bright against its black waves. Trips to the floating market with Tizane. Hours passed on a coconut boat with Baba. There are parts of her that light something inside me, but the light only lasts a moment. Then I drown inside the darkness of her pain. Skies. I push it all down. Push every part of her in this virus away. When it's gone, I feel lighter, though the strain of suppression causes sharp pains in my chest. Something about her essence calls to my curse, bringing it up at every chance. Her spirit seems to hover around me, crashing with the force of the turbulent sea. You're slowing me down, Zelly calls back, nearing the top of the hill. Do you want to carry him? I ask. I'm more than happy to watch him bleed on you instead. Maybe if you stopped suppressing your magic, you could handle the extra weight. Perhaps if you closed your wretched mind, it wouldn't take so much energy to block you out. But I bite my tongue. Not every part of her mind is wretched. Laced in the memories of her family is a fierce love, something I've never felt. I think back to days sparring with Amari, to nights spent flinching from Father's wrath. If Zelly had my magic, what parts of me would she see? The question haunts me as I grit my teeth to finish the final ascent. When I reach the top, I set our captive's body down and walk until the hill plateaus. Wind whips at my face, and I yearn to take my helmet off. I glance at Zelly. She already knows my secret. For the first time since getting this miserable streak, I don't have to hide. I unlatch my helmet and savor the way the cool breeze runs over my scalp as I approach the hill's steep edge. It's been so long since I removed my helmet without fear. Below us, the forested hills of the Gombe River Valley spread beneath the shadows and moonlight. Mammoth trees fill the land, but from up here, one unique symbol makes itself clear. Unlike the random spread of trees throughout the forest, this grove is arranged, forming a giant circle. From our vantage point, their special X is just visible, painted onto some of the tree's leaves. He told the truth. Zelly sounds surprised. We didn't give him much choice. Still, she shrugs. He easily could have lied. Between the circular formation of trees, a secret wall has been erected, formed from mud, stones, and crisscross branches. Though rudimentary, the wall sits high, reaching several meters up the tree's trunks. 2 figures armed with swords stand in front of the wall, guarding what must be their gate. Like the boy we interrogated, the fighters wear masks and are completely clad in black. I still don't understand who they are, Zelly mutters under her breath. I echo her question. Besides their location, the only other thing we learned from the boy was that his people were after the scroll as well. Maybe if you hadn't beaten him half to death, we could have gotten more answers. Zelly snarls. If I didn't beat that boy, we wouldn't have found this place at all. She stalks forward, starting her trek down the forested terrain. Where do you think you're going? To get our siblings back. Wait! I grab her arm. We can't just storm in. I can take 2 men. There are far more than 2 of them. I point to the areas around the gate. It takes Zelly a moment to see through the shadows. The hidden soldiers are so still they blend completely into the darkness. There are at least 30 of them on this side alone, and that doesn't count the archers hidden in the trees. I point to a foot dangling from the branches, the only sign of life in the thick leaves. If their formation matches the feet on the ground, we should expect at least 15 of them up there as well. So we'll attack at daybreak, Zelly decides, when they can't hide. Sunlight isn't going to change how many of them there are to fight. We have to assume they're all as skilled as the men who took Amari and Tizane. Zelly scrunches her nose at me. I hear it too. Her brother's name sounds strange coming out of my mouth. She turns. Her white curls glow in the moonlight. Her hair was straight as a blade before, but now it bunches in tight spirals, twisting further in the wind. Her curls remind me of one of her young memories, back when she was a child and her coils were even tighter. Her mother chuckled while trying to comb Zelly's hair into a bun, magically summoning dark shadows to hold Zelly in place as her daughter struggled. What's our move? Zelly breaks through my thoughts. I return my focus to the wall, letting the facts of battle wash away all memories of Zelly's mother and her hair. Gombe is only a day's ride away. If I leave now, I can bring back guards by morning. Are you serious? Zelly steps back. You want to bring the guards into this? We need a force if we're getting into that camp. What other choice do we have? With the guards, you have a choice. Zelly jabs her finger in my chest. I don't. That boy is a diviner. I point to the captive. What if there are more behind that wall? They have the scroll now. We don't know what we'll have to face. Of course, the scroll. Always the scroll. How stupid am I to think this could be about rescuing my brother or your sister? Zelly, come up with a new plan, she demands. If there are diviners behind that wall and you summon the guards, we won't get our siblings back. They'll all die as soon as your soldiers arrive. That's not true. Bring the guards into this, and I'll tell them your secret. She crosses her arms. When they come for us, I'll make sure they kill you too. My insides twist as I step back. Kia's blade strikes back into my mind. The fear in her grip, the hatred in her eyes. A strange sadness settles in me as I reach into my pocket and wrap my hand around my father's pawn. I bite back all the words I want to shoot back. If only she was wrong. Then what do you propose we do without guards? I push. I don't see a way past that wall without a fighting force. Zelly turns back to the camp and wraps her arms around herself. She shivers even though the humidity around us makes me perspire. I'll get us in, she finally says. Once we break through, we go our separate ways. Though she doesn't say it, I know she's thinking about the scroll. Once those walls come down, the fight for it will be fiercer than ever. What kind of plan do you have in mind? That's not your concern. It is when I'm putting my life in your hands. Her eyes flick to me, sharp, untrusting. But then she presses her hands into the ground. A hum ignites in the air. Her words bend the earth to her will. It creaks and crumbles and cracks. An earthly figure rises beneath her touch, brought to life by the magic of her hands. Skies! I curse at her power. When did she learn this trick? But she doesn't care what I know. She turns back to the camp. They're called animations, she says. They follow my command. How many can you make? At least 8, maybe more. That won't do. I shake my head. They're powerful. There are too many fighters down there. We need a stronger force. Fine. Zelly turns on her heel. If we're attacking tomorrow night, I'll figure out how to make more in the morning. She starts to walk away but pauses. And a piece of advice, little prince, don't put your life in my hands unless you want that life to end. So we just finished chapter 43. So take a moment and also assess, how is this relationship between Enan and Zelly going? What's going on? Even though Enan really had this really big connection with her when he got into her memories, it's still not so hot. So how are they fighting through this? How are they still sort of working together to save their siblings? And how do we think this relationship is going to end after all once they finally get in there? So take a moment for your notes, summarize that chapter for your journal, and then go on to the next video where we'll continue on with chapter 44.